Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Player Zone at YouTube channel. And today, it's a bit of a personal video for me. We'll talk about the Manchester United curse, which I think has lingered for too many years here at Old Trafford. And I guess you go back to the Ferguson times here. So the 12-13 season, United win the title. And ever since then, it's never felt like Manchester United's ever gone back to being that consistent, dangerous, feared side in many regards. Teams are beating Manchester United at home. When I'm recording this most recently, Nottingham Forest come and play United off the park to win 3-2. Liverpool have gone multiple times and won games 3-4-0 at home. You've got the likes of Bournemouth's now coming to Old Trafford. Burnley's coming now to Old Trafford and getting victories almost frequently each season. So the fear factor around Manchester United, the club, the institution, has sort of disappeared. And I feel like I had to write a few things down and get my thoughts currently put together, but it feels like a bit of a 2.5 year cycle in many regards. So if I look back at it, you got the Moyes squad, who he got very, very unfortunate, a very tired squad, a squad that had been used to Sir Alex Ferguson. Yes, he wasn't great, he didn't implement many ideas, but he didn't get the backing from the board in terms of signings. He didn't get to rejuvenate a very old and tired, washed up squad, and he ended up only lasting 3/4 of his first season, finishing 7th. And in the end, United finished 22 points off the top in that season there. You bring in Louis van Gaal the season following. He finished 4th in his first season. Second season, 5th place, the FA Cup title to go with that, and then was stunned to be sacked off the back of that, but never really got a style that the fans, or I guess media, could support. It was a very negative, pragmatic, possession-based style. You're thinking about 60% possession, but like 4 or 5 shots in game. I remember a game against Fulham where United had about 70% possession, but only created, I think, 6 shots on goal. It was a very, very slow style of football. Again, teams like Burnley were getting the better of United because it was so negative and pragmatic. Players like Di Maria, Falcao joining and not being able to really do the best of the football club. So that was the Van Gaal era. Following that, you got Jose Mourinho, who comes in and did a strong job. 16-17 Community Shield, Europa League and EFL Cup winners, finishing 6th. Then 17-18 finished 2nd at 81 points and then sacked in the middle of the next season, 18-19, when it was not going well. I think it was mid-table-ish around the time it got sacked that year. Again, football was quite negative. Fans never really liked it, but there were results, there was trophies, and in the end, it was a really harsh way I think he got sacked, because probably the most successful period of time at Old Trafford since Sir Alex Ferguson left the club, and it was a bit of an identity, I guess, form there. It was defensive identity, counter-attacking football. But again, big money signings, never quite working out under Jose Mourinho. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer comes in, obviously that interim period where everything just worked for him, so he gets a full-time job. In his first full season, 3rd place and 66 points. Again, he finished 3rd, but 66 points is not that great. The 2021 season, finished 2nd on 74 points. Again, middle of COVID, never really looked likely for the league title. I think it was the turn of the year that United were top of the league, but we always knew City were going to come over the top of United. I think in the end, there was a 12-point gap on the top of the table. And then it was sacked in the middle of the 21-22 season, where that loss at Watford, the final game, that was just the final straw. But leading up to that point in time, poor result after poor result. Again, bringing big players. Cristiano Ronaldo joining, movements around, moving like Edinson Cavani out of the way to get Ronaldo in, so it just never really worked out. Next member is Erik ten Hag, someone who I supported all the way through. 22-23, finished 3rd with 75 points, won the Carabao Cup. Last season wasn't that great, finished 8th, the worst league finish, but also won the FA Cup and then sacked to start this season off after a string of poor performances. But you look at that outline there, every manager outside of David Moyes has basically gone and had 2 full seasons and then got sacked following that. And what's happened is, I'll get to some of the key points I'm going to talk about, but you get a whole group of players in, a whole new philosophy in to around that system. So 250 million, 400 million around a manager and their style of football. It not working, results not going their way, media pressure, fan pressure, players not turning up to play, sack the manager. It's a whole new cycle yet again. And Ruben Amorim's going to come into this now and it's going to somehow try and stop this merry-go-round of just constant poor ownership, constant inappropriate running of the football club, this inappropriate pressure set by media and fans, and this fear by managers not to be themselves, not to just be a bit outrageous sometimes, some of the things they have to say or some of the pressure they put in players and some of the players they have to sell and some of the players they have to bring in. It's all felt like it's been too much to a script, and it looks like a Netflix script. I know producer Everett came out and said watching Arsenal is like watching Netflix, but if you watch Manchester United's last 10 seasons, this could be some sort of grand Netflix show that shows the downfall of one of the biggest clubs in world football, if not the biggest club in world football. And that's when I come down to like sort of 5 things I think that has to change at Manchester United to make a real change, to get rid of this ugly sort of stain, which is the Manchester United curse right now. Number one, I think it's the global expectation that Manchester United is a top club, because Manchester United is no longer a top club. It might be a big club in terms of its stature, but in terms of its performances, the way it's run, the players, the management, it is no longer a big club. I don't think it's the top 6 club in the Premier League, and it hasn't been. And I think someone said, I remember reading on social media or seeing in a clip, United are a team that their good years with them bouncing into the top 4. But the years following, every year following United, think now across his last 10 years, there's Champions League, no Champions League, Champions League, no Champions League, Champions League, no Champions League. And it corresponds to a new manager bounce, getting into the top 4, getting Champions League football, second season, not working, going backwards, and then getting sacked the year following. And as such, you just get this constant cycle of United going in and out. And a big team, a good team, stays in the top 4 or 5. And in the modern Premier League, maybe the top 6. But you see United's currently in 13th place. A few years ago, they finished, obviously last year, they finished 8th. Years following, 7th, 6th. You look at a scale, a graph, it's like 2nd place, 8th, 3rd, 4th, 8th, 3rd. Like it's constantly just sort of random cycle, but the odds spike into the top 3. And so those seasons for me are the good seasons. Yeah, that's United overperforming. These players, maybe the management, the expectation is that, I should be there constantly top 4. But these players and managers and expectations not level to where the club is. The club is a side that maybe is a 6th team in the Premier League. City, I guess you can count Chelsea in there now, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, Aston Villa, on the odd years Brighton, on the odd years West Ham, are all better than Manchester United. On a consistent basis, United are probably the 5th best team. Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, Spurs. They're your top 5. So, can you see an avenue for United to leapfrog those teams into consistency? No. But to be more consistent, you have to do the hard yards. And I think that sort of leads me on to these expectations that United are a big team. People constantly want that top 4 or that success or a trophy. And you have to bypass steps and bypass going through the tough times to get where you need to be. Look at Arsenal. That is grim. They were constantly 4th and in and out of Champions League under Arsene Wenger. Sacked him. I think Unai Emery copped the brunt of it, going through the worst period of time at Arsenal. Then you got a manager that knew how to win in Arteta. He also went through the brunt of it. And even then, they still haven't really done anything, but at least they're back towards the top. But they went through years of mediocrity. Liverpool went through a decade worth of mediocrity. United have done that decade worth now. But I don't think the bottom's been reached yet. Ruben Amorim will be the manager that goes to the bottom. Can he come out of it, though? That's the question, right? So I think the expectation that United are a top club, that they're competing for titles every second year, should not be there. United's expectation should be a success is the top 4, but we'll take a top 8 position. That just has to be the reassessed expectation of the players, the new manager constantly coming in. You cannot be expecting top 4. That's a miracle. So the expectation has to be lowered. Second is fan toxicity. And this sort of goes hand in hand with that, that first point there. Fans go from, let's back the manager, to one result. Oh, he's awful. We should have got him in. Where's Potter? Where's Southgate? Erik ten Hag wasn't great. Again, the style wasn't there, but then it goes down to fan toxicity. They wanted the manager to come in and play a certain way. He said the right words. Era's come to an end. He goes and buys his players about ball playing. He gets battered early on by Brentford, 4-1 or 4-2, whatever it was. Playing out from the back. It was 4-0 in the end. Playing out from the back at Brentford. And we never, ever saw Erik ten Hag play that ball, play out from the back style system, because he was too fearful that would happen again. Because the fans got on his back. The pressure was too much. we never saw him play that style of football. That is fan toxicity. The minute one thing doesn't go right, there's boos, there's complaints. Right now, the fans are behind Ruben Amorim, but I'm already hearing, oh, is he the right man for the job? Should we got this, that, and the other? The minute it doesn't quite go right, fans are on their back. And it's such a big global fan base, so many different views that you saw with Arsenal a few years ago, like AFTV and their negative fans and how they didn't back their side. And it just doesn't help. These players and the managers, as they're supposed to be these top models, they're humans after all. They're going to be influenced by what's around them. And the toxicity around Manchester United and the fan group makes it so hard to be successful. So that's the second point. You got to somehow deal with that rubbish. The third thing to leads hand in hand here. Managers too fearful to play a style of football, or too fearful to play their style of football. They're too fearful to go and pick a style. Their style not being good enough, or I don't know how it really works. But Erik ten Hag, again, never saw his style of football at all. Never saw a style of football in the end under Erik ten Hag. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, again, never a clear style, just counter-attacking. It wasn't never really a style that could work, and it wasn't a style that could adapt from team to team. Jose Mourinho had his style, very defensive. Did the fans like it? No. And in the end, it didn't work out because the fans didn't like his style. Same as Louis van Gaal, possession, proper Dutch, pragmatic football. Fans didn't like it. He was kicked out. Yeah, I feel like with every manager, they start digging away at the major problems, but by the time they get to the problem, by the time they get to that pipe under the ground, they get pulled away from the job, and then more soil lands on that problem, being that pipe. And the next match, they come and dig holes. And eventually, every time each manager looks like they get to a turning point where they might go down, but they'll come back up afterwards, the club gets rid of the manager. And with Ruben Amorim, it's been clear he wants to play a style of football, which is, thank God, much different to what Erik ten Hag and what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer were doing. But those managers there, they do have a style, they do have a philosophy. I think they were too fearful to go and play it. Erik ten Hag was too scared after the Brentford and Brighton results. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did a lot of his work without crowds there, behind closed doors under COVID rules. But once the crowd came back and he couldn't go and win games away playing counter-attack, he had no other way. He had no other mindset to try and beat teams with possession build-up or using flanks or inverting midfield and fullbacks into midfield. It was never really a clear style there. So Ruben Amorim has to find some sort of style and stick to his guns. Fourth point is the persistence with players that are just underwhelmed. 1A, Marcus Rashford, Harry Maguire with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, Anthony, even Luke Shaw, a player that's constantly injured. Why is he still in the books? Scott McTominay and Fred, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Even the likes of an older Nemanja Matic under Jose Mourinho, playing players like Jesse Lingard under Jose Mourinho, Paul Pogba's of the past. Yes, some of those names are now gone, but it's important that Ruben Amorim doesn't just stick to certain players and exclude players. I think Erik ten Hag's biggest loss for him was not playing Amad Diallo, who's probably been United's best player this season. Yeah, it's small things like that really add up over time, because we've lost years of Diogo Dalot being behind the likes of Ashley Young, who was an ageing fullback, or not being sent out alone when he could have played for the club. Amad Diallo stuck in the reserves, sent away off loan, not utilised despite being probably one of the brightest sparks in world football and playing some of the best wing play in world football. We're only just getting to see it now, but he could have been doing it for the last 2.5 years. Persistent with Anthony Martial and big wages. It's been hard to see some of the players go because they've gone to succeed at other clubs, but it's obviously enough that some players just can't deal with the pressure and the spotlight of Manchester United. So if they're not good enough, stop persisting with them. I think for Ruben Amorim, this back half of the year will be chuck them in the deep end, see if they sink or see if they swim. If they swim, you keep them. If they sink, you've got to try and way to just feed them out, loan them out, sell them out and get rid of them. It's clear that his system's a lot different to the last two managers, so a lot of the players that were brought in are not going to work. Simply put, they're not going to be good enough. So he has to find out who you can trust, who you can back in next season, where the pressure will 100% be on him. The eyes of the whole footballing world will be on Ruben Amorim next season, because this season doesn't look like it's going to end well at all. So instantly the pressure goes onto him. He starts poorly with players that he should have known were not good enough. Instantly he's under the pump. So you got to, for him and managers going forward or managers of the past, the persistence with players who aren't good enough is just ridiculous to me. It's pretty clear to see from all the fans' point of view. I don't know, I guess. And again, a prime example is Scott McTominay. He never really felt good enough for Manchester United or put in the wrong position. You see how he's thriving at Napoli. And that's the player we all know he is. I know he's that good of a player, but sometimes players just aren't cut out for the pressure or the system that Manchester United has to go and play. Simply put, Harry Maguire, he's gotten better over the years, maybe the armband curse as well, but he was really bad. And they were persisting with him, consistent, because the money they paid for him. But they're taking that armband away from him. He's been coming off the bench, shorter spells, and all of a sudden he's looking a little bit more comfortable. But there's a lot of players there. Jesse Lingard, a prime example of that as well. Just not good enough for Manchester United. So not persisting with the players who aren't good enough is a key thing. And then finally, the quick route to fix the club is not going to work. 10 managers, 12 seasons post-Ferguson, £200 million on average spent every second transfer window. Like, that's just ridiculous. Way too much money spent, too much turnover of player. And again, you're still stuck with a lot of these players. You're still stuck with Solskjaer, still stuck with Mourinho. You're going to be stuck with Erik ten Hag players. So it makes it so hard for a manager to come in and know what they're going to do with these players, because we're just spending money willy-nilly on all these players to get them in now for that quick fix. And often the quick fix never works, especially at Manchester United. Anthony, Andre Onana, prime examples of this. But the smarter signings, the signings that Amad Diallo initially when he came in all those years ago, very cheap, loaned him out, got him back, one of the better players. Diogo Dalot, good work, seeing young talent, seeing the potential, getting him in, developing him. I think, you look at Nusayr Mazraoui, 15 million they spent for him. He has been probably the best player at the club this season. So the smart transfers normally work. The big money signings, I can't imagine any of them really sticking. Lukaku didn't stick. Ibrahimovic wasn't here long enough. I know he was a free, but a lot of wages. Ugarte, the big money signing this season, hasn't hit the ground running. Casemiro had one good year under him. Anthony, we know how much of a diabolical transfer that's been. Maguire's been very poor. Every big money signing has flopped. Rasmus Højlund struggled. Like, every big 40 million plus player has not worked out. So it's time to go to a more strategic, one by one process. Sell one player, get one player in. That's what it's going to be from now on, and be smart with his moves. Look what Brighton were doing. They picked their players, they found their players, they got them in, and they work around a system. Manager, head staff, and a coherent board ahead have to work together to get a coherent transfer windows together. They're going to work and build towards a winning squad in 3 years' time, not a squad trying to win a trophy, a Carabao Cup, or a Europa League this season. That hasn't worked for Manchester United. We've won the odd trophy. We've won 2 trophies in 2 years, but the manager's gone now. And this new manager does not like a lot of the players that he would have left behind. So the quick route of just constantly buying new players is not going to work for me. And I think to round it all up, the media as well, as much as the fans, a lot of the media eyes are on the club, and it's just unjust. The Gary Nevilles, all the Sky Sports guys, they don't know much about football, I don't think, at all. As much as they played it, I don't think they know much about how a football club should be run, what's going on in the modern football world. The pressure is unjust. The criticism of managers is unjust, and it seems to just dissolve. And as much as they're just pundits, at the end of the day, they feel like they are the puppeteers pulling the strings and leading the narratives. And it often leads to United managers feeling the brunt of it, and in the end probably getting sacked because of that media pressure. So as much as you can stay away, we've already seen Ruben Amorim say he doesn't want to talk to media, doesn't do press conferences. I love that. I know some people have come out and said, how dare you, your Manchester United manager, you have to appear in the media. I absolutely love that. I think a manager in United has to come in and just be different. Say things that people don't like, change the people don't like taking Bruno Fernandes off, changing the formation every single game, changing the players, Højlund, Zertsky, Rashford, every single game. I like it. It's being different. It's trying things. It's not doing the same process that the last 5 managers have done and all failed with. If you're going to go down swinging. I think for Ruben Amorim, I'd love for him to succeed. Wanted Ten Hag to say, Solskjaer, if he could succeed, I would have loved that as well. But I just have a bad feeling this is going to go down in a heap, in a burning heap. But if he's going to go down swinging, go down exposing the inadequacies of this club. Some of the ownership, they've changed it, but we've already seen, already some fallout from the higher-ups already in this new Ineos system. We know how poor it was with Woodward and the Glazers prior. you got to expose how poor the club is in different areas. At least when you're there trying to fix it at some point, or for the next manager and for the next owners, make it clear what has to be done. Because there's a lot of problems at Manchester United. Number one is the expectations have to drop. I think coherent transfer strategy has to continue. And like my points here, don't be fearful. Play your style. Go about saying what you want to say, and don't just follow the script. Because by making these rogue decisions, saying these rogue things in press conferences, making these rogue decisions in terms of your tactics and your styles and your player selection, you're going to land on something. And United were at the bottom of the bottom all those 30-something years ago. So Alex came in, he came in with his ego, his style of football, and it stuck. Some man's going to throw something onto the wall and it's on a stick. And it might be Ruben Amorim. I just think it's so important. 3 things. Pattern of play in a formation that remains the same no matter who they're playing, how bad or how good the form has been, what day you're playing, keeping the system the same. Support from the ownership and the fans through what will be a very, very tough process this season and into next season. I think it will be very hard to watch, hard to support. But if the fans and the owners can back it in, who cares what the media says? And I guess a third thing is a focus on players that can improve the future rather than just be quick fixes now. The signings of Casemiro's, the signings of Ibrahimovic's, Cavani's, they've been good, but they've proven just to be a waste of wages and money. Invest in the players like Amad Diallo's, the Diogo Dalot type signings that can improve the teams to a degree now, but in the future, we can build around them and build them all the way up to being a winning side in 5 or 6 years' time. Like Jurgen Klopp, bringing his crop of players in Liverpool, them struggling 7th, 8th for start there, and eventually becoming a side that went to 2 Champions League finals in 4 seasons, winning a Premier League title in that time there as well, and winning every title available to you in a sort of 10-year period. That's what Ruben Amorim or the next manager or whoever it is has to do. That's going to be your outline. That's just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. But I just think at the moment, United is just a bombshell, and it's waiting just to be blown up. Could be Ruben Amorim that cops the brunt of it, or he could be the messiah that fixes it all up. But there's a lot of problems, and you have to start at the root, which I think is just fixing the players and implementing a style of football for yourself. Because right now, the style of football and formation is a big problem that hasn't never really stuck at Manchester United over the last 10 years. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, guys, please smash a like on it, subscribe to the Players Zone channel for more videos like these, and press that post notification bell so you know we upload here on the channel. With that being said, I hope you have a great day today, guys. Enjoy that coming football, and I'll see you guys for the video very, very soon. See you next time, guys. See you later.